What is up, Packers fans? Welcome into Pack-A-Day Happy Hour. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. We are presented today by Luiges Frozen Pizzas. If you're not checking out their new gourmet pizzas, you really need to do so. Highly recommend their pepperoni pizza with the gourmet. It's got the gourmet pizza taste without the gourmet pizza price. It's absolutely amazing. Tastes like pizza parlor pizza. Put it in the oven, 420, 425. Turns out absolutely perfect. Real Wisconsin mozzarella. You know the score. They're absolutely amazing. So check them out over at luigespizza.com. Follow them on social media at Luiges Pizza. So thankful for our partnership with Luiges, and thank you to them for partnering with us all season long. So kudos to them. Make sure you're supporting them as well, just like you're supporting the channel. We will get to all of your amazing questions, or at least as many as I possibly can over the next hour or so. I do have pretty close to a hard out around 3 p.m. today. So we'll spend the next 58 minutes getting to as many questions as I possibly can. If you want to make sure your question gets asked, get in those super chats, but I will try to get to as many as I can regardless. All right, Andy, what are your thoughts on if the Packers part ways with Matt LaFleur? Would you be on board with getting John Gruden, Super Bowl winning coach, and Green Bay ties? On the surface, he'd be a really interesting interview candidate. I honestly don't know. One of my least favorite things of covering the Packers / sports is anything that has to do with the drama, legal side, all of that sort of stuff. Emails that were sent that had malicious intent, or whatever it was. I don't know the whole story with Gruden as to what all transpired there. I don't know if he's a perfect fit, from a locker room / culture standpoint. I don't know. Assuming all of that aside, all right, because again, I'm not well versed in it enough to know one way or the other if he's a viable coaching candidate or not. My gut tells me no, based on some of the stuff that's happened. But again, don't quote me on that. Let's put that aside. If that were not an issue, he absolutely would be on my list of candidates that I would want to interview. From there, it all depends on the interview, how I feel about the candidate, the body of work, etc. But he would absolutely be on my interview list. I would just put it that way. If it ever did get to that point, which I think still is very premature, I would want a well-rounded list of candidates, of the top candidates, including Jeff Hafley. If again, all the off-field stuff aside, John Gruden would certainly be in that. And then it would depend on, who else is available and out there. And I'm sure we would spend a crap ton of time on that if it in fact came to fruition and if Matt ultimately ended up being let go. But for now, again, I think that's ahead of the 8 ball just a little bit. All right, Ben, thing is, Giants defensive front, yes, really good, but their secondary does leave a lot to be desired. And despite the talent up front, they're terrible against the run, Ben. Listen, we got the injury report from the Giants today. It's as brutal as it gets. Jackson Dart, Darius Slayton, Kayvon Thibodeau, Chauncey Golston, and Evan Neal are all out for the Giants. Rakeem Nunez-Roches, who's actually a pretty solid rotational defensive lineman for them, as well as Tyler Nubin, their safety, are doubtful. And Bobby Okereke, one of their starting linebackers, as well as Paulson Adebo, their starting corner, are questionable for this game. That doesn't even include Cam Scadaboo and Malik Neighbors, who are out for the season for the Giants. And they just got a brand new head coach as they try to manage all these injuries and make a transition in season and everything like that. It is as bad as it gets for the New York Giants. Other players, they have other players that are on IR as well. Scadaboo and Neighbors are the big ones, but their kicker, Graham Gano, is also on injured reserve. So this is a really beat up Giants team. And yes, their defensive front from a pass rushing standpoint, even without Thibodeau, is really good. Brian Burns has been one of the best in the business this year. Abdul Carter is still a phenomenal edge rusher despite being a rookie. And then we know Dexter Lawrence is going to give everyone all sorts of problems. So those three are still going to be very potent. Everything else is pretty much nuclear level bad at this point. It's a game Green Bay needs to win. They're awful on run defense. This is the movable force versus the destructible object with the Packers run game against the Giants run defense. But overall, Green Bay has to go in, get this win, take care of business, and move forward with a game against Minnesota that, quite frankly, at home, they should also win. But they got to take care of business in this one first. Let's get to our super chats right away. I almost thought this was Adam Rank for a moment. Andrew Rank, thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. Appreciate you a ton. Tinfoil Hat, do you think Jair Alexander got traded to the Eagles because he knew a tell on the offense? He retired shortly after the Packers game. John, that's a bridge too far. I don't think the Eagles were that afraid of the Packers. Yeah, I don't think they were that afraid of the Packers game, nor would I trade a draft pick away for one game of intel. I think that's probably a bridge too far in that one. I'm sure they were expecting to have Jair Alexander. It didn't work out. The biggest thing is hoping that, Jair gets right and, maybe finds his love of the game again and, kind of goes from there. But no, I don't think there's anything to that conspiracy theory. 2 touchdowns in 8 quarters of football. Yikes. Yeah, there's a lot of metrics that you can look at over these last 2 games. How many times they got into opponent's territory and didn't get any points out of it. It's really ugly. And I was talking earlier today, I think it was on the radio show I was doing. There's a lot of times you get to the film, and if maybe the game was awesome, even the defensive film in this one's interesting. We'll talk about it on the grade show tomorrow. But sometimes you get to the film and you're expecting it to be amazing. It's like, oh, it was fine. And there's other times where you're expecting the film to be terrible, and it's like, it was fine. It wasn't as bad as you thought, wasn't as great as you thought. Usually falls somewhere in between. I think the film on offense might have been worse this week than what I was even expecting it to be, which is not a great sign. So they've got to clean up their own issues, their own business. They've got to figure out a way to get back playing the offensive brand of football that we've seen them play in the past and what we've come to expect with this Matt LaFleur offense. Hasn't certainly been that way as of late, and it's now up to them to get a course corrected. We should give up like 40 points, but still win, just so Halfley doesn't leave a good impression on the Giants. Go Pack, we are in no situation to be able to dictate terms on how we can win football games. In a world where I felt like the offense could score, 50 points to win 50-40, sure. Why the hell not? Right now, I will take a 3-0 win with Jeff Halfley's defense doing all of the heavy lifting. I'm in no situation to dictate terms on a Packers victory right now. Just give me a freaking victory. I need it. I think we all need it, and we'll figure out the rest later. But right now, just get a goddamn win. It's the simplest way to put it. Braden, thank you for the chat. If Banks can't go, were you thinking Morgan to left guard and Kennard or Belton at right guard? I'm excited to see more new bodies in, especially some people movers. Yeah, I would expect that, I think, to be the case. Unless they don't want to move, Morgan off of right guard, because that's where he's been practicing. But I would think in that situation, if I had to guess, probably looking at Walker. I guess the only question is going to be, do you want Morgan at left guard and Kennard at right guard, or Kennard at left guard and Morgan at right guard? That would be my expectation. I don't think it's going to be Belton either way. I think either way, you're going to end up with Sean Ryan at center. I think either way, you're going to end up with Sheed at left tackle and Zach Tom at right tackle. And if Banks is healthy, Banks at left guard, Morgan at right guard. Since Morgan's practicing probably at right guard all week, maybe you just put Kennard at left guard. That would be a possibility. But I guess the only other option would be Monk at center. And then, do you do Morgan at left guard and then, Sean Ryan at right guard, or Sean Ryan at left guard and Morgan at right guard? That would be one other option. But if I had to guess right now, I think Kennard's probably the next guy up in this situation. Pearl hopes you had an amazing birthday, Andy. What do you think Green Bay should do regarding Kraft's contract? I think he's up for an extension. Pay the man. They will too. I know, Watson took a little bit of a discount, with it, but they re-signed Watson. I go back to the Rashawn Gary injury, right? Gary tore his ACL. They still took care of him. They'll take care of Kraft. I don't have any concerns about that. They'll give him they maybe get a slight discount on it, but they'll take care of him. They'll pay him a ton, rightfully so. There's not going to be anybody that works, it'll be very similar to Christian Watson when it comes to work ethic of working back from that ACL injury. So yeah, I think it would be very similar to Rashawn Gary. They'll take care of him and make him one of the highest paid tight ends in football. Halfley mentioned the importance of being consistent and being upbeat no matter what. Do you think Matt needs to be more consistent, or is he just moody with the media at times? Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily changed over the years. It just depends on the situation. Sometimes it depends on the question. I think actually Matt's been pretty upbeat this week, all things considered. So I think he's trying to lead by example and say, hey, we're still going to be positive. I think you saw it with Jeff Halfley as well. And hopefully the team takes after that. I think they will. But yeah, I think, sometimes depending on the situation or the question that gets asked, sometimes Matt can be a little bit, curmudgeon-y towards the question at hand. But I don't know. I think for the most part, he does. It's cliche and it's coach speak a lot of times, but I don't think he gets too upset with the media too often. Jeff Hafley being so good at the podium does not help fans' frustration with Matt LaFleur. It's like getting a new good-looking coworker when your marriage is on the rocks. You know, what I will say is this, and Hafley's doing a great job. I love Jeff Hafley. Don't get me wrong. Mo Drayton had me ready to run through a wall to go play special teams for him in the press conference room. And he sucked as a special teams coordinator. Man, he said all the right things. I was ultra motivated every single time I heard him speak. I could see why they wanted him to be the special teams coordinator. And at the end of the day, it didn't necessarily mean that he was a good special teams coordinator. Hafley's great in the press conferences. It doesn't necessarily mean that he'll be a great head coach. He's a really good defensive coordinator right now. I think Hafley's going to be a really good head coach, by the way, but that doesn't amount to much. Belichick is terrible at the podium. Nick Saban, for the most part, was terrible at the podium. It's arguably the greatest college coach and greatest NFL coach of all time. You know, so at least in the conversation, right? I don't know. It doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot to me of who's better at the podium. All that matters to me is wins and losses. Right now, Matt could come out and stone cold give us the middle finger and stun Wes Hodkiewicz. And as long as he's winning football games, I do not care. So just go out and win at this point. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. How has Gary been grading for you this year? I wouldn't say he's been bad, but just seems like he is not heard from at times. Yeah, it's been a slow few weeks, I would say, for Rashawn. He's been fine, / good. I think this past week is a little bit of a hang with him because he had to go against Jordan Mailata for the vast majority of the game. So I have Gary on the season as a plus 1.75, which puts him 5th on the defense, which is good. Like, that's a good season. But over the last 2 weeks, he's at a negative 0.25 combined. Over the last 3 weeks, he's at a plus 0.5. So I don't know. He's been fine. It's not been anything super crazy, super sexy. It's mostly effective. But if we were hoping for a dominant Rashawn Gary, now that Micah Parsons is taking all the pressure off and taking all the double and triple teams and things like that, we have not seen that so far. We'll see what the rest of the season brings. If only the Packers started drafting bigger offensive linemen sooner, they might have taken Creed Humphrey over Myers. Humphrey was smaller than Myers, right? Pretty sure Creed Humphrey is smaller than Myers, which is why they took Myers. I don't know if you're being facetious, but Humphrey is 6'4", 302. Myers is 6'5", 310. So Humphrey wasn't small, but 302 at 6'4" is a little bit on the smaller side. I think you may have measured even less than that at the combine. But again, I don't know if maybe you're being facetious or a double negative here of some sort, but Myers was bigger than Humphrey. I don't listen to a ton of press conference, but I find myself tuning into Jeff's quite a bit. That guy's a stud. Yeah, he's a must listen. He's awesome every single week. He's very well versed. He knows how to, play to the media, play to the audience, play to the crowd. He's got everything covered. I've seen him coach on the sidelines. He's a phenomenal one-on-one coach. We've seen him do a great job as a coordinator. He's fantastic at the podium. He's a former head coach, even if it was at the college level with mixed success, I will add. But, listen, coaching Boston College is not the easiest job in the world. I think he'll be a very good head coach. I've said before, and I'll say it again. I think any teams that pass on him as a head coach, I think are going to regret that. You disagree with my take that there's a group think inside the coaching staff, maybe not overall, but on the offensive side, and you can see it with its stagnant play. Yeah, I think my point more, John, was I'm sure, at the end of the day, they're going to run what Matt wants to run, regardless of who's in there. But I do think they have some coaches from some different staffs that are within the organization as a whole. On the offensive side, yeah, probably a little bit more Matt centric and, kind of from that side of things. But that's not all that ordinary throughout the course of the league. Is you usually install a system and then you bring in guys who know how to run that system. Same thing with Jeff Hafley. Like, Jeff Hafley has a system that he wants to run, and then you bring in guys that know how to run that system. So I don't think that's anything that's super out of the ordinary for any coaching staff. Again, is it always good to get some different ideas? Yes, but that's why Matt, brings in, and I know it's kind of his guy still, but like a Luke Getsy, or in the past, Robert Saleh, to work with the offensive staff. In this case, Nathaniel Hackett to work with the defensive staff to get different ideas, to generate different thought concepts. To try to maybe break the mold on the things that you're doing over and over again. Could it be working better? Yeah, probably. Optimistic take. This team is super talented, Super Bowl level. Just fix the O-line and play calling, game management, and kicking. Listen, game management, play calling, sure. Kicking, yeah. McManus could start making his kicks. Fixing the offensive line is that's a chore. That's not something that you can patch or band-aid or look over. Like, that's going to take a lot of work. If there's enough time to do that yet, I'm not sure, but they got their work cut out for them just to fix that one aspect of it. Pessimistic take. I don't know how you fix the offensive line in season. There you go. Not sure Matt is willing to self-scout to fix his stuff. He is. Green Bay special teams are cursed. They are. That is very true. Want to see more drop back, full field progressions from Jordan. He can do it. Let him find the holes and trust the feel in the pocket. The easy buttons aren't working. Let him do this thing. All right. Let's talk through that. If you didn't listen to the Justice Mosqueda episode, I highly recommend doing that. We talked a little bit about this. The first aspect of this, and let me be clear, I think there is a truth to this, but it's not as simple as it sounds. The first aspect is your line's not protecting. You have an offensive line that used to be bad in run blocking, but at least they could pass pro. Now they're also struggling in pass pro. They had a over 40% pass rush rate allowed last game. So you have to be able to protect to get to some of that stuff down the field, to get to that drop back, full field progression passing game. To get to read 2, 3, 4, you've got to protect past that. There's a lot of talk right now of, I don't think Matt trusts Jordan. I don't think Matt trusts his offensive line. I don't think it's that he doesn't trust Jordan. I don't think he trusts his offensive line. And I think he's probably right. They've just been really bad. And so you don't have the offensive line that's consistently protecting enough to be able to run that type of offense throughout the course of a game. In addition, because you can't run the football, teams are not honoring your run/play action at all. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't run it. They've still been extremely effective in their play action passing attack when they've run it, even if teams aren't honoring it the way that you would hope that they would. But linebackers are dropping to depth even when you're going play action. They don't care. They don't respect you. They're rubbing it in your face that you can't run the football. So they're dropping to depth, and those downfield deep progressions aren't there for you. So that's where you have to do some of the quicker passing game, which we saw Green Bay get to in this last game, but a couple of them were knocked down at the line of scrimmage. A couple other times receivers are in the wrong spots or they're running into each other. In the quick game where you're going quick screens to the outside, teams are aware of those and all over them and rallying to those very quickly. And you haven't blocked on the outside for those either. So it all sounds good. I think there's a truth to it where you've got to let Jordan cook a little bit more. But if your offensive line's not protecting and they're literally playing defense to take away the exact thing that you want to do, it's usually not going to end well for you. So you've got to figure out a way to change some things up. And at the end of the day, it's why Matt continues to try to establish the run, because if you can't get it established, if you can't figure it out, when they are giving you clean boxes, 7-man boxes, spread out, spread deep to run into with Josh Jacobs, and you can't run effectively against it, they're going to keep doing the exact same things. So it sounds good. It's a great talking point. I tend to agree with the overall idea and concept of it, but the execution of it is a lot harder than what it sounds like, which is why I think the thing that you can, everyone can have their opinion of Matt. And I've said, I don't think Matt's doing his A+ stuff this year by any means. And I think there's plenty to criticize with Matt. If you don't think Matt has thought of I wonder if we just do progression passing game, he has thought of all of this stuff. And that's not a Matt, that every offensive mind would, try different things or, get to that point. He doesn't think they can do it. And I don't think that he's necessarily wrong until they start protecting better and or running so that you get teams out of the looks that they're, getting right now. Why is this O-line so much worse at run blocking this year? Last year at this time, the Packers could run on anyone, power, duo, zone, all of it. You can't tell me Myers was that important. I wish I had an answer, John. I think Zach Tom's injury is a factor. Aaron Banks has not been good enough. Elton Jenkins was having arguably his worst year as a player. Sean Ryan and Rasheed Walker, in my opinion, regressed a little bit, and Jordan Morgan hasn't taken a step, and Anthony Belton didn't look good. I think there's a group of this where, like, collectively they haven't played great, but also individually they haven't played great. So when you have a bunch of players individually who are not living up to their expectations and collectively are not living up to the expectations, it's a little bit of everything. To me, it's on some of the scheme and play calling. It's on the offensive line coach, but it's also on the players. They have to go out and execute at the level that they're capable of. I've seen every single one of those offensive linemen play better at some point in their career than what they're playing right now. So they've got to find a way to get back to that. They've got to find a way to be cohesive, effective, and just a stable offensive line. And like I've said for weeks now, unless you get there, it's all over for this season for any expectations that you have. Maybe they make the playoffs, maybe they win a playoff game, but if you're hoping anything past that, it just gets exceedingly difficult if you don't have the offensive line to pull that off. Can you check out off air any practice squad offensive? John, there is nobody that you can find at this point of year that's going to just fix your offensive line. The teams are desperate for offensive linemen. If there's anybody that can do anything from an offensive line standpoint, they are on an active roster and they are starting in games. This is what you have. You've got to find a way to make it work. Could you move a couple pieces around? Sure. Could you try an Anthony Belton, a Darian Kennard, something like that? Sure. Do I think those are the be-all, end-all answers to everything? No, I think they have to get back to fundamentals. I think they got to play with better hand usage, better footwork, better leverage. Again, that's a lot to chew off in week 11 in the NFL. We'll see if they can do it. Hopefully this is the week. I saw another super chat come in. Beast Bumblebee, good to see you. Why does Matt not run play action? Surely if we know it's effective, even when the run's not, he knows too. That I don't know. I've got no baked in excuse for Matt on that one. I don't know. I think part of it, would be the idea of, like, they're not honoring it anyway. Why are you taking the extra step to turn your back to the defense and fake a handoff if they're not even going to bite on it anyway? But statistically, it shows it works. So I don't know. I'd keep running it. I would keep running it as much as I possibly could because it's been effective for them. Happy Friday. Can you explain your -11 grade for the offensive line? Is it pass blocking, specific players, etc.? Yeah, I mean, it just depends on where you want to go with it. It's pass blocking, it's run blocking, it's everybody. I only have one offensive lineman with a positive grade, and it's a very slight positive of plus 0.25 on the year, and that's Zach Tom. I've got negative grades on literally everyone else, including some pretty, my bottom 5 graded players on the offense are all on the offensive line. I mean, I think that probably tells the story in and of itself right there. In case you're wondering of, like, well, maybe it's just because it's offensive line and it's harder and you're harsher on offensive line. I had a plus 0.4 or a plus 4 grade last year, or like 4.75 grade on the offensive line, plus 4.8 grade in 2024 on the offensive line. In 2023, they were at a negative 7.35. In 2022, they were at a negative 12.65. In 2021, though, in 2020, they were at like a plus. Sorry, one second. In 2020, they were at a plus like 43 with Lindsley and Bakhtiari leading the way. Jenkins was awesome that year. So you can have very high grades on the offensive line. Matt has found ways to survive in other seasons without great offensive line grades. Like, he's worked his way around it. Right now, he's not working his way around it. And I think in other seasons, it was in large part due to, like, they weren't great at run blocking, but they were good enough in pass protection. And right now it's seeping into all of it. So it just, overall, not great at the moment. Andy, how much do you think the loss of Tom Clements has impacted the offense? Obviously, I think Love has played extremely well, but overall thoughts, no one seems to be talking about it that I've seen. I don't think much, if at all. I mean, Jordan's taking care of the ball. I think Jordan's seen the field overall well. And Jordan is, I think throwing with some of the best accuracy of his career. So I don't think it's affected them. That's not to say that Tom Clements was a bad guy. I think he was phenomenal. I think he got Jordan to where he was. I think Jordan had, kind of everything that Tom needed to teach him already ingrained in him. I think he got it, all the Tom Clements he needed in his first 5 seasons in the NFL. I think getting a new coach in there, somebody that has some new ideas and can maybe evolve something else with his game that, maybe Tom didn't focus on as much, it's probably not the worst thing in the world. So I don't think it affects really anything at all. Happy Friday, Andy. What are your thoughts about this crazy Bears-Eagles alliance? I thought it was AI footage, but the Eagles fans were really saying go Bears at Lambeau. I did not see that, most hated Chicagoan, so I'll have to see if I can find that, but I have not seen the clips of that. I guess strange bedfellows, if nothing else. Or maybe just an Eagles fan base that's rubbing it into the Packers by cheering for the rivals in their own stadium. I don't know, but yeah, weird. Really trying hard to make sense of Haversick McManus. Do you think it could be a situation where Goody wants Haversick starting, but Matt is insistent on playing his guy? Here's the Haversick McManus situation that I think has happened. Okay. I want the first thing people need to know is Haversick has not been traditionally a good NFL kicker. He wasn't even in the league last year, and he tried out a lot of different places. And there were a lot of kickers that got jobs over the course of the last year plus. And he was out of the league. When he kicked in 2023, he wasn't good. All right. So you have this kicker that throughout the course of his career has been probably like the 35th or 40th best kicker, maybe even worse than that in general in the NFL. Even the week that he made his kicks, he said in his post-game presser, whenever he got interviewed, that he had an awful week of practice. Everything we have heard from Matt and Rich is that McManus has been completely out-kicking Lucas Haversick in practice. So my wholehearted belief, and I've said this before, and I know McManus is going through it right now, if both are healthy, big asterisk, if both are healthy, I think the answer is you just stick with McManus. He's the kicker, right? And I think in practice, McManus is still out kicking him. But we've seen McManus really struggle in the games. I think where I struggle, and what I don't think makes a ton of sense, is number one, if McManus has truly not been healthy. Now, McManus rebuffed the Aikman report this week. So we kind of have to, I guess, throw that out a little bit out the window as well. But if McManus is truly not healthy and Haversick had made his kicks when called upon, you go with the healthy kicker. Or if Haversick's just missing all of his kicks in practice and you don't trust him and you're not going to even use him when the other kicker is hurt, well, then why is he on the roster? I think they were pleased with how Haversick kicked in games, but have seen some real struggles in practice. They rightfully kind of know that he's not that great of a kicker in general. And they would prefer that their preferred kicker is out there kicking and ideally making kicks. I think McManus has just frankly missed a couple 40-yarders that I don't think probably the injury played much of a factor in. He just missed it. And so if it's truly not injury related that he's missing those, you say, well, we're going to stick with our guy. I have more of an issue with then why is he on the 53? And if you don't trust him to kick when the other kicker's injured, again, why is he there? But my guess is that Haversick is missing quite a bit in practice. They don't really have much faith/trust in him, and they want to go with the guy that they've seen kick in cold weather at Lambeau Field and has some experience there. That's my guess. I'm not necessarily, again, defending their overall decision-making / how they've got to this conclusion. But my guess is that's probably the line that you walk of where you get to this. I still think if you were to ask 32 GMs in the league, hey, you can either have Brandon McManus or Lucas Haversick. Which one do you want? I'm guessing above 90% are taking Brandon McManus and saying, yeah, we want the proven kicker. I don't think it's actually that crazy of a concept. I think the bigger thing is that Brandon McManus needs to make his damn field goals. And if he can't, again, if there's another struggle this week, yeah, then it's already a fair question for sure. But I don't know. They see a lot more than we see is what's probably the big takeaway here. They see these guys kick every single day. They're watching and, Haversick's missing a ton and McManus is making everything in practice. Well, I can see why they jump to this conclusion. The bigger thing is whoever it is, I don't care who's kicking, make your damn field goals. Happy Friday, Andy. What's been your evaluation of DeMarcus Covington so far? Any real world chance he's a defensive coordinator candidate if Hafley takes a head coach job elsewhere? All right. I think I say this once per live stream. It is completely impossible to judge assistant coaches. All right. Said it before. I'll say it again every single time. All I can judge on is which of his players are performing at, above, below, or nowhere near expectations, right? Colby Wooden, well ahead of my expectations. Carl Brooks, probably slightly below. Brinson and Stackhouse, probably right around what I expected. Wyatt, probably around what I expected. From a defensive end standpoint, Parsons has been above. Gary, probably slightly below or at. LVN was probably slightly at or above when he was healthy. Enagbari's having a nice season. Terrell looks good. So I think overall the defensive line is performing well. I'm pleased with where they're at. Whether that has anything to do with DeMarcus Covington or if it's just the trickle down of getting Micah Parsons, your guess is as good as mine. Do I think that if Hafley left, he would be a very strong contender for the Packers defensive coordinator position? Absolutely. That's another one where if he's gone, you just vet it out, right? You bring in a lot of different candidates, see who's available, and go with the best one. And if you feel that that's DeMarcus Covington, then awesome, you go with him. But if you don't, then you've got to find the best guy for the job. Period. End of story. So I think he'd be a strong interview candidate. Whether or not he would get the job, tough to say, but he would definitely get that opportunity for sure. So I feel like this game is a must-win due to the 3 NFC North Division games coming up after the Giants. Start with the Vikings on the road on Thanksgiving against the Lions, then back home against the Bears. It's not a must-win. It sure as hell feels like a must-win. I mean, a must-win by definition is like, hey, they're done if you lose this, right? It's going to feel that way. Packers Twitter will collapse. It will get nuclear. It'll get a lot worse before it gets better. But I don't think that's the final straw. But it's not great. And you certainly really, really, really need and want this win. So it's not technically a must win, but my God, it feels like it. It really does feel like it. Happy Friday, Andy. We talked about that. Just beat the Giants, Matthew, 1 week at a time. There's also that. We can multitask too. Maybe a better offseason video idea, but would you make a members video breaking down a play to show how you grade players? I've thought about it. Maybe at some point I'll get to something like that. I kind of have to inherently show film on that, but yes, I could probably do something like that's a members only for something like it. I'll consider it. Here's the other thing is that I could show the most pristine, perfect grading system and grading scale and how I grade everything. And people will still be upset, frustrated, disappointed, whatever, right? People are going to have opinions of like, well, you didn't grade this the right way, or you didn't grade that the wrong way, or you graded this the wrong way. And it just will get picked apart no matter what I say or what I do, right? So I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll consider it. I'm not super motivated by it, if I'm being totally honest. I kind of let the grades speak for themselves. Oh, and meaning over time, players that tend to have received a lot of contract extensions and big, contracts throughout the league have been players that have graded well. Players that usually end up cut, traded, released, usually are ones that graded poorly. I go even back to like, Clinton Dix coming off a second team All-Pro. Everyone's like, he's great. He's a Pro Bowler, etc. I'm like, he's playing like crap. And Green Bay very quickly realized it, traded him away. Washington very quickly realized it, moved on. Chicago very quickly realized it, moved on. So I kind of let the grades speak for themselves. I'm very cognizant of that. They're far from perfect, but I also am very proud of how close I think it gets things to what we see on the field on a week-to-week basis. So we'll see. I'll just say we'll see. Kuhn beefing on Twitter is hilarious. I like it a lot more when he's doing it with people other than me. It does feel much nicer when it's not me. Kuhn and I agreed on this one, though. I think it was Zach Cruz. I love Zach Cruz to death. He's one of my favorite people covering the Packers, bar none, no question about it. He talked about the similar play that I think Clayton talked about, of that Jacobs maybe could have cut it back inside. And I said, no, you're reading the defensive tackle on that play. The defensive tackle cuts off the inside gap and the inside run. Jacobs reads that. Now, we heard later that Jacobs did say as well that he was anticipating it because of what they were calling out at the line. But even if, regardless of that, if he read it the right way, he's going to read it, see the defensive tackle, see that he hedged inside, and then rightly go the way that he ended up going on that play. So, I think Clayton said something to the fact of, again, should have bounced it inside. And Kuhn said the same thing I did. You're reading the defensive tackle. The defensive tackle, went to the side. Jacobs read that, went the opposite way. Morgan got blown up 2.5 yards into the backfield. Musgrave did a poor job of blocking, although he's not necessarily expecting it to get to that point. And the whole play just gets blown up. So no, Jacobs A did not read it wrong. B, he was not at fault on that play. The offensive line just got nuked on that play all throughout it. So yeah, I'll just say I like it a lot better when Kuhn's picking on other people rather than me. But no, I did see that. I did see one of them at least. I heard something about Bukowski too, but I didn't see what that was in regards to. Oh, was it the Stenovich thing? Yeah, I don't understand Stenovich hate. I don't get. I want him more in the offensive line room, not less. I don't understand that. Packers just need a dub ASAP. They very much do, Turtles. Very, very much do. All right, I'm going to come back to the fun time question here. I think there were some more super chats that came in. All 22 show Jordan Love not seeing the field very well. I didn't hate this game from Jordan, if I'm being honest. I kind of was more in the Justice Mosqueda camp. I had a slight positive grade on him in this game. PFF had a slight positive grade on him in this game. Were there things Jordan could have done better? Yes. Do I think the offensive line play had a ton to do with it? Absolutely. So, there's the play early on where he gets off of Romeo early. Romeo's going to probably come open on a post, and he comes off of it. That might have been the play he took the sack on. I can't remember off the top of my head. Do I think he could have probably stayed in there a little bit longer and found that play? Sure. Again, that's why it wasn't his perfect game. Do I think that he tried to do too much on the fumble? Yes. Do I think he tried to do too much on the sack where he took the huge loss on that play and took him out? Yeah, absolutely. There were some bad plays in this game. I also think a lot of Jordan's really good stuff in this game got counterfeit. He had the beautiful completion down the field to Christian Watson that got called back due to an illegal procedure penalty. He threw an absolute dime to Romeo Doubs in a completely unbelievable anticipatory ball or an anticipation throw. It's not an easy catch by Romeo, but he put that thing only where Romeo could get it. The only place where it could possibly be successful. Put it on it. Romeo hits his hands and he drops it. He throws one later, not a perfect ball, but he throws a good ball later to Dontavian Wicks, who has the ability to go up and make a catch. He doesn't do it. On a key fourth down, one that they probably never should have been going for in the first place, he steps up, makes a gorgeous throw to Bo Melton, and Bo Melton drops it. If his receivers come up for him, and if his line protects better, the deep play late in the game to Christian Watson, where Christian Watson's coming late through, yes, you have a receiver coming over the middle of the field. And I think he could have thrown that ball better to Christian where it goes more to the sidelines to allow him to run, underneath it rather than throwing it deep down the field. Go look at that play. There's a player right in Jordan's face. He's probably not seeing that second read, and he can't throw to the sideline because he's got to throw over a freaking defender right in his face. So were there things, again, Jordan could have done a lot better in this game? Yeah, I think so. Do I think this was, in fact, if I were to grade this, I had a slight positive on Jordan in this game. If I were to lean one way or the other, I probably would have bumped the grade up more rather than bumping it down less. So things he could have improved upon for sure. A couple plays he would love to have back, but I actually thought there was some really solid stuff that it unfortunately just didn't pay off because, offensive line play and or some of the wide receiver stuff too. Is JJ the right running back for Matt's offense? Yeah, I think we saw that last year, right? I think Josh had a really good season running the football. I don't think Josh Jacobs is the issue right now. People are going to get sick of me. I get it. It's a broken record. I posted my grades today. The quarterbacks so far this season have a plus, well, Jordan Love has a plus 8.15 grade. The running backs are at plus 6.10. The wide receivers, kind of disappointing, are at plus 2.50. The tight ends are at plus 4.35. The offensive line is at negative 11.15. That's the story. I know we give too much credit to the quarterback when things go well, and we, probably put too much blame when things are going poorly. Jordan's great. He's having a really nice season. Josh is having a good season if you could run block for him at all. Tucker Kraft was outstanding. The receivers are fine. The offensive line has been atrocious. Fix that. Fix your offensive line. Have them playing at a neutral level. Watch how great these wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks and tight ends are going to look in this offense. That's the big thing right now. Got to be able to protect better and got to be able to block better. What do you think caused this O-line regression? Again, I was asked this a little bit before. I don't have a great answer for it. I think, again, individually players need to be better. I don't know if this is a Luke Butkus thing. Maybe he's getting more out of this offensive line than any other offensive line coach would. Maybe he's getting less out of this offensive line than any other offensive line coach would. I don't know. But there's been some severe regression, and they've got to figure out why and put a stop to it right now because they don't have much room for error. Big fan of your content and even-keeled approach, Connor. I appreciate that a ton. Thank you so much. Derek gifted a Pack a Day podcast membership. Thanks for doing that, Derek, and congratulations to whoever received that. Appreciate you a ton. Does Musgrave deserve to have more snaps due to his big whiffs on blocks in crucial situations? Isn't there a better tight end that can block better? They're kind of not in a great spot at tight end right now. Maybe Josh Wiley can be more of an answer. We'll have to kind of wait and see. Fitzpatrick's not at a great couple games, even as a blocker. Like, you don't want your offense getting to hey, we're going to play John Fitzpatrick 60 snaps a game. I don't think that's a good situation for you. And Musgrave has really struggled as a blocker, and he's not giving you a ton as a run after the catch or receiving guy. They just missed Tucker Kraft a ton. I personally, I kind of would just go either 4 wides and maybe do some fun looks with that, or I would go extra offensive lineman as my tight end. Just let them block. Tell them we're going to block and don't even care about it. We're bringing in an extra offensive lineman. We're going to hopefully be able to block better because of it, both in pass pro and in run blocking. I think that's my answer. I think I would go 6th offensive lineman more than I would go more Luke Musgrave or more Fitzpatrick or anything like that. Just think they're in a tough spot at tight end after losing Kraft, which is a bummer. All right. Thank you guys for those super chats. All right, let's get to our sleeper picks for this upcoming weekend. I've got 2 this week. Simple, keeping it simple. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Puka Nacua, 2 of the best wide receivers, playmakers in football, just getting touchdowns. More than half a touchdown for JSN, more than half a touchdown for Puka Nacua. The best part is that you can get a 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code PACKADAY over on Sleeper. Again, a 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code PACKADAY. Check it out over on Sleeper. Terms and conditions apply. Also, they're available in over 25 states nationwide. So if you're not sure, again, you can check out Sleeper for further details of where they are available. But if you haven't and you're in a place where they are available, I cannot recommend it enough. Makes things a ton of fun. Not just football, by the way. I use it for basketball quite a bit. It's a ton of fun for that too. So check out Sleeper when you have a chance. Huge thank you to Sleeper for partnering with us on today's show. Let's get back to our normal layout. There we go. Back to our comments. All right. Here was our fun time question. Let's say Luigi's Pizza asks you to design an official Pack-A-Day victory pizza. What's your build? Crust, sauce, cheese, and no more than 4 toppings. Easy. Super easy. All right. So I'm going thin crust. Their same robust tomato sauce, extra cheese, and then extra cheese is the big thing. I want extra cheese. I want this thing loaded. Like you were going to stretch it and it's just going to keep going and going and going. Pepperoni, sausage, mushroom, and onion. That's my go-to. I might keep the mushrooms off of it just because I know some people are really not mushroom people. I'm the pickiest eater in the world and I love mushrooms. But I would, if it were up to me, that my go-to is pepperoni, sausage, mushroom, and onion. Those are my big 4. But if we want to leave the mushrooms off, I'm cool with that. Just go pepperoni, sausage, onion, extra cheese. That sounds perfect to me. Hafley gets a head coaching job. Which guy do you think we will be interested in? Yeah, Andreas, I haven't looked close enough yet to know who's available. I would say one of the big names I would keep an eye on, and I have to make sure he's not one yet because I don't think he is. Yes, is Christian Parker. I think Christian Parker would be extremely high on their list. He is the Eagles defensive backs coach and passing game coordinator, young up and coming coach, interviewed for the defensive coordinator position last time when Hafley got the hire. If I had to guess, I would say it would come down to DeMarcus Covington and Christian Parker. I would bet that one of those two. And Christian Parker's coached with the Packers before as well. I would lean Christian Parker, but I think it would come down to Parker and Covington would be my guess. Now that Jenkins' season is over, can you elaborate on your thought that his effort was low this year? You said you didn't think it was contract related. Was he just dogging it for no reason? I'll say this. That was earlier in the season. The first, I would say, few games, there were a couple in there where it just looked like he was not himself. I always am hesitant on the effort thing. These guys work insanely hard, put so much time, effort, and energy into it. Don't necessarily regret saying it because it looked off, but I'm hesitant to say the effort one more often than not. I didn't think he looked like the Elton Jenkins we saw in the past. I don't think that was just a center thing. I don't know why that was. Maybe some of the injuries, maybe the position change. I don't know. It could be a variety of different things. I do think there were moments over the last 3 to 4 weeks that we saw a better version of Elton, and certainly the effort's been there the last month or so. I don't have much question on that. I still don't think it was up to his standard, but I wish I knew exactly why. He'd probably be the better person to ask for that. But it was looking a little bit better at times, but still just very inconsistent. I don't think anyone wants me taking over the play calling. I think that's a very bad idea, Drew. I appreciate the sentiment. I think we'd be in a very bad spot. Why are we talking so much about new head coach with 8 weeks left to play with the division to go out and get? Sauce, I just answer the questions that are asked. I think the fun thing for me is I get to find this beautiful sweet spot of, a portion of the fan base being angry at me for not being harder on Matt and calling out some of his issues more often, and a portion of the fan base wondering like, why are we even talking about this? Matt's the head coach. He's a good head coach. He's like the 4th winningest head coach in NFL history. You are at 5-3-1. You are in a playoff spot. The division's out in front of you. Why is this even a conversation? And so I get to live in the middle of that, where half of you are mad at me for one way, half of you are mad at me for the other. There are very obvious things that I think Matt needs to do better and that he needs to improve. And I think we can be critical about those things. I think that's a fair thing. I personally still think the fire Matt now is beyond ridiculous. And I just don't think it serves any purpose. I still very much am in that camp, but I also understand that sane minds can disagree and people see it differently. Do I think his seat is heating up? Yeah, I do. I am still very, I wouldn't say confident. I would be surprised if he's gone next year. If they don't make the playoffs, though, it's all things on the table. And the Sauce Man, again, what I always say as well is like we can talk about multiple things and we can multitask. We can look ahead and say, hey, if things don't go well, like I'm not sure where this goes for Matt. And we can also say, if things go well, this whole fire Matt stuff is going to look insanely stupid, right? So that's where we're at. And for anyone who follows me with any sort of regularity, we can look at all sides of it and say, yeah, here are the things that are going well. Here are the things that are not going well. Here's what could happen if things go really well. Here's what could happen if things go very poorly. And if it's status quo, you're in this weird kind of no man's land. And we can talk about all those things. I love talking Packers. There's not a topic Packers related that's taboo for me. If we want to talk about the things that Matt sucks at right now, we can talk about some things that Matt's not doing great at. If we want to talk about some things that Matt's doing great at, I'm happy to talk about some of the things that I think Matt's doing very well and talk about some of the things that I don't think are necessarily on Matt. I think we can talk about what does this look? I love some people hate hypotheticals. I kind of like, what does this look like if this team goes to crap the rest of the year? Well, let's talk about it. What does this look like if the team wins the Super Bowl? Awesome. Let's talk about it. I'm cool with anything. We can talk about all of it. That's what I enjoy doing. I just love talking Packers, and whatever topic we want to talk about, we can discuss. And my big thing that I will always say is there's truth in all of it. And that's why I hate the extreme stuff of like, well, Matt's, amazing and he should just remain the coach and his regular season record is amazing. So let's not talk about any of it. Well, that's probably not fair. I think we can talk about some of the stuff that's going wrong, or like just fire Matt right now, get rid of him, done. I don't think that's probably the best situation for you either. It's a gray area. We can talk about a little of all of it, and hopefully it just kind of cleans itself up and everyone starts doing better, and we can talk about all the fun stuff, because that's what I'd rather talk about. Happy Friday, Andy. I know hindsight is 2020, but knowing the offensive line would struggle this bad, would it have made sense to start Morgan at left tackle and Belton at right guard from week one? I don't think so. Walker's been fine, ish. I don't think, I just don't think that that's necessarily the answer. I've said it a million times too, Roy. I don't think moving pieces around on this offensive line is what solves your problem. I think this is fundamental. We got to get to work on the leverage, the pad level, the footwork, hand placement, all of that stuff. I just think it's the hard work. Unfortunately, it would be awesome if it was just there was an easy switch that you could make to make this better. Easy. I just don't think that's the case. Calling it now, the Packers wake up 1 week and win by 20 plus. Cool. I think they can. I don't know that it proves a ton, but it certainly proves a whole hell of a lot more than losing this game. I'll say that much. So hopefully that's the case. Assuming Jenkins is gone, could Ryan be extended? We draft an actual guard who plays guard. Possible, yes. I think Ryan would have to play pretty damn well at center for that to be the case. Green Bay's going to be short on money, but they can find a way. They also just never really seem to like Sean Ryan. Even when he plays well, he seems to get rotated or benched, or they're saying like we need more consistency. And if I'm Sean Ryan, I'm certainly not taking a discount to stay in Green Bay after all of that. And after moving in numerous positions, some teams willing to give me a 3-year, $30 million deal or 3-year, $36 million deal to go be just the starting right guard somewhere. I'm just going to go take that. And my guess would be that Ryan probably prefers playing guard as well to center. So is it possible? Yes, but I think Ryan would have to play really, really well the rest of the year, and Green Bay would have to pay him, consummate with what he wants on the open market to be able to keep him and get him back. Happy Friday. Why are we? Yep, we talked about that. Dexter Lawrence versus the interior of the offensive line is a problem. It's a problem. How about a center that will play center? I liked what I saw out of Sean Ryan. I think he can be a solid center. But let's see what it brings. I like the physical side. My guess is the Giants are going to try to pull some things over on him and see if he's up to speed with the checks and the adjustments on the line of scrimmage. We'll see how he handles that this week. Golden plays against the Eagles. I feel like we win that game. More than possible, Andreas. More than possible. Andy, been a while. Pack haven't earned my time lately. I kid, but here's one serious thing. If they don't beat a Winston-led Giants team without Scadaboo, Dart, Neighbors, etc., I ain't suffering no more. Tuli, I joked online. I'm taking vacation next week. I'm half joking. I don't think I would ever do it. If there was ever a week where I might do it, next week might be that week. Especially if they lose by like 15 or something. You might see me broadcast live with a pina colada from Mexico somewhere and just answer questions about like the 2010 team. And that might be it. Happy question for happy hour. What's been your favorite moment this season so far? Either single play. I would just say the Lions game in general. I don't know that it's a moment, just the feel of Micah coming out of the tunnel for the first time. This team being jacked up and excited, really beating the Lions completely throughout that game. That was the best moment so far. Hopefully that's not the best moment of the season. Hopefully that's not where it peaked. That's the hope moving forward. What I wouldn't give for this defense to play with 27-year-old Rodgers. It would have been fun. My wild for still thinking this team wins the Super Bowl. Dude, go for it, man. Go be a fan. Love it. I love the optimism. I wouldn't bet on it right now. Like if that's not where I would be putting my money in Vegas right now. But I still think there's a lot of really talented players on this team. Still think Matt has a lot left in him to coach his team up. I really like Jeff Hafley. I think some of the pieces are there. Some of the cracks that I see in especially the offensive line, give me real cause for concern. Some of the lack of attention to detail on offense right now gives me some real level for concern. All I'll say is this. The offense is probably in a pretty similar spot to where they were in 2023 at this point of the season. And then it clicked. And it fell into place. Players played better. Coaches played better. Or coaches coached better. Everything just clicked. If you ever get to this team having a similar sort of moment where things just come together and click on offense, with this defense playing the way that it is, look out rest of the NFL. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. Man, the lack of bandwidth is shocking. Some people just need to relax. Y'all acting like this team is 0-9. I think the sooner D-man, and I get frustrated by this, so I understand your frustration. 99.9%, I mean, that's probably high, but the vast majority of people are taking this as a what happened most recently. And I think that's your lack of bandwidth comment, right? It's really tough to scale out. I get it. I've been guilty of it in the past. I'll be guilty of it again. It's really tough to scale out and say, let's take a look at the bigger picture. Sometimes for better or worse. But I do think it's a very reactionary NFL fandom, and that's not to Green Bay. That's not to Pack-A-Day listeners or anything like that. That's just where we're at. I think that's a society thing. It's like, what have you done for me right now? What have you done for me? And I think there's a political version of that. I think there's a societal version of that. It's all, we want immediate satisfaction. And if you didn't provide that to me recently, I am angry. I hate that. I really do. But that's kind of where we're at. The previous consensus around Matt LaFleur, even into the start of Love's tenure, seemed to be that he wanted to be a pass first offense. Seems to be a full flip now, and he just wants to run. Was he radicalized? I don't know. I mean, there's always got to be an evolution, right? I just don't know if the evolution went in the right direction, which is, of course, not an evolution, but you get my point. I don't know. It's an interesting question. I'd love to have a beer with Matt and talk it through with him. Just not, yeah. We'll talk about that next week. Great hat. Ordered it after seeing it on you earlier. I got two of them. I got the darker one too, because it looks cool. It's very rare that I like a Packers hat. So if I find one that I like, I definitely pick it up, which is why, listen, you guys know I love my Live Lucky hats, right? Which I am not sponsored by, which actually kind of pisses me off. If there's a Packers hat that I like, I would wear a Packers hat every single day. So I like this one. That's a good sign. I like the draft hat that I've been wearing in the past as well, the 2024 draft hat. So yeah, got a few of them now. You'll probably see a little bit more of them. Yeah, absolutely feel for Jenkins. It sucks. Coming to Green Bay for the Bears game on the 7th. Is there any type of event or anything similar, that would help with meeting some people? Not that I'm aware of, poor Scouser Tommy, but if I hear of anything, I'll try to spread the word on it. But I don't know of anything right now. This is the most bipolar I've seen them for a while. 5-3-1 at week 11 when schedule rolled out would be okay, good record, but no one would have guessed losses to Cleveland and Carolina. It's insane. It's been a weird year, Tulio. It's been a weird year for sure. If I had a nickel for every time a former Packer got signed by the Eagles in 2025 and immediately retired, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it's happened twice. Who's the other one? Obviously, I know Jair. Quarterback, running back. Dylan's still on the team, so it's not Dylan. Wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, corner, safety. Who am I missing? Who the hell signed with the Eagles and then immediately retired? Huh. That's going to bother me. I'm sure somebody's already got in the comments. Oh, Za'Darius. Yes. Thank you, Jonathan. I totally forgot about Za'Darius. I was in my mind. I couldn't get off of AJ Dillon, which also wouldn't have been super surprising if he signed there and then retired. But yeah, thank you, Jonathan. You got it first. Good call on that one. All right. Let's see if we have any more super chats. Do have to get out of here pretty quick. Can I speak on Evan Williams' play? He seems to be taking a very nice second-year leap. Tyler, I can. I really don't want to crap on your super chat, but he is going to be one of the players I talk about a lot on our grades episode for tomorrow. And I'm really excited about talking about him a lot. So I don't want to spoil it too much. So check out that on the grades episode tomorrow. but I'll just say I'm extremely excited about the way that Evan Williams is playing. Extremely excited. Ben, thank you so much for the Go Pack Go. I'm sorry. I know we're just getting too popular. I'm sorry. We're getting too popular. I used to be able to get through everyone's questions, and now I can't get through like half of them. I know I also get long-winded, so that's partially on me as well. But thank you, Engine, for being mad at me for both takes. I have come around. I do like peppers on my pizza now too. Little green pepper on there, a little red pepper on there. I'm totally cool with that. Members challenge, find a taboo Packers topic that Andy, like I can actually answer it for you. Like if we had to do a full episode on like the Brandon McManus, like off-field stuff, like I don't have the bandwidth for. And maybe that is a gap of mine. Maybe that's something I should do a better job with and covering. I hate it. That's not why I tune into sports, is for any off-field stuff. Like if you had to like, if all I got were questions on like, on off-field questions about what Packers players have done off the field and what issues it caused, and I would lose my mind. I would hate it. So that's probably the one thing I just have no interest in talking about. Let's see. What did I talk about? Yeah. Okay. There we go. The Evan Williams stuff. Oh, Tyler, I skipped your super chat. I just have the Evan Williams one, right? Was there another one, Tyler? Sorry, Tyler, if you get it, if there was another super chat that's in there, I don't see it right now, other than the Evan Williams one. So if there's another one that I missed, please just put a question in and I'll answer it right now. Just kick New York's ass. Let's go, Pack, go. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that, Tyler. Just see if there's anything else that stands in here. Things go badly. Do you think Ed Policy would consider promoting Jeff the head coach and firing Matt in season? No. I mean, if things got really bad, and again, we're talking like losing to the Giants by 20, even then, I think it probably takes then a loss to like Minnesota. If they lose 2 more in a row, we're having real conversations. If they lose to the Giants and then Minnesota at home, and that gets to 4 in a row, then like all bets are off. I don't know what Ed Policy is going to do in that situation, but yeah, I don't think anything happens in season. And if it gets to the off season, I think you're talking about a full vetting of candidates. I don't think Jeff just gets handed the job, nor do I think should he. I think even if you want to go with him, still bring in other candidates for sure. Is Savion allowed to run routes down the field? Every time he catches the ball, it's behind the line. I get he's a gadget guy. Yeah, I do think they need to up that a little bit for sure. Sauce, you're all good, my friend. You're totally good. I knew what you meant. 1,000,000%. Yep. All right. We got yours. Should we have picked up a free agent center, Dahlman, when he was available? I have heard from some Chicago fans this week that he took less money to go to Chicago. Now, if you offer him the same Aaron Banks deal, I don't know if he's turning down that money, but Dahlman's been really good for them. He's a huge free agent signing, and Chicago was very smart to sign him, as painful as that is to say. All right. I do got to get out of here. We're hosting a birthday party for a friend tonight. So I've got a lot of stuff to put together, which is why I did this a little bit earlier. Still have to get a couple things from the store as well. I'll see you all very, very soon. Tomorrow, grades video, Mike Wall video tomorrow afternoon, doing the film review of the Giants. That is up already for members. Members grades video should be up here in the next 3 to 4 hours at the very latest. I think there'll be a live pregame show. I don't know for sure. I cannot do it. So I'm trying to get somebody else to do it. I will keep you posted. Might see an Andrew Merteg. So yeah, we'll see if we can get somebody for that. And then I will be doing the live post-game show. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, that should do it. And then I think Perry and Grant on Monday is the plan right now as well. See you guys all very, very soon. Have a very fun weekend. Hopefully we can cheer on a Packers win. I'll see you guys then. But until next time, and as always, go Pack, go.